Don't miss.
What's happening, gang? We are back, and today we're going to react to how David Goggins became that guy. If you do not know who David Goggins is, I am most certain that at the end of this video, you will know what kind of man he is and what he stands for. So, without any further ado, let's get into it.
You are a guy that, for a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind and figuring out a way to do things that most people think are impossible. You've sort of become that guy. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off, who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point.
Before I start a ramble, I think just from the first few seconds, what I can deduct is, and I believe that most of you can relate, is that our past holds tremendous negative experiences that generate a ton of trauma that have certain influence on our behaviors throughout our lifetime. And our biggest battle is to unleash ourselves from those shackles. It may seem impossible at the time, but it is most certainly achievable through resiliency, consistency, and self-discipline, which is the embodiment of David Goggins. Before I ramble on, let's continue.
My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big-time pimp, big-time hustler. Anything bad about a person, he was that kind of guy. Beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs and he dragged her down the stairs by her hair. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you gotta get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. And I have a big time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So when I went to school, my learning disability, I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, it just got worse and worse and worse. And the shit haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it. From the age of 19 to the age of 22, I gained 125 pounds. I went from 175 to almost 300. 297 was my heaviest. And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. What changed, I watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224.
Class 224.
You get treated like the absolute lowest form on earth, and you really got to find it within yourself to say, I know I can do it. I know I can finish it. I know I can do anything they throw at me. That's where it builds character. You find out if you got it in yourself.
I watched the show, and it made me reflect big time on the piece of shit that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. I was watching these guys going through Hell Week.
Hell Week, the most dreaded week of buds. It's the ultimate test of one's physical and mental motivation. A round-the-clock regimen of intensive physical training and harassment, with as little as 4 hours of sleep during the entire week.
And these guys ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many fucking people in my life, my dad, my mom for not being there, my learning disability, my skin color. And so I sat there for a while and I was like, no one's gonna fucking come to help me. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period.
That is absolutely true. I believe that as human beings, we hold tremendous potential in that we need to engage in activities that enhance and bring out that potential. If we don't, then of course we know how things turn out. We end up living a life that is not what we intended. Things do not turn out the way or in the manner in which we intended it to. I believe that we are born with a self that is extremely authentic, and throughout life, of course, our surroundings, the people we converse with, the people we hang around with, influence through social media, definitely shape our beliefs and how we see the world. But within that lies the true potential of ourselves, the self that wants to figure things out for themselves, the self that believes that he or she is capable of achieving anything, regardless of what happened in the past. And if we don't live up to that self, it completely sticks in our head. That's when we live in the what ifs. We watch moments go by in our lives without doing anything about it, but that self is constantly there in the back of our minds. Why are you being so weak? Why can you not just be your authentic self that you can truly be? It will most definitely keep on calling you out, and eventually you will have to live up to it. Certain people, or perhaps majority of the people, fear that voice and do not want to step up to the plate, which is understandable. It can be a hard thing, but they do not know how much joy there is to be found in accepting those challenges and becoming the best version of yourself. It is tremendously hard, but it is most definitely worth it.
I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have. So I started calling recruiters up. I said, I'm gonna go be a fucking Navy SEAL. There's a weight and height limit to get in the military. And I was 6'1" and 297. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff. And to get into the class I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab, respray for cockroaches. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life. I don't like cockroaches too much. I hit the mother load of cockroaches. And I sat there and said, this is my life. This ain't gonna be it for me. So I quit my job, got back in my Ecolab truck, and I went home. So my first run, when I decided to lose the weight, I was, like I said, 297. I was about 32% body fat. My idea was to run 4 miles for my first run. I didn't know how bad it's gonna fucking hurt me. I used to run before I was fat, and I was like, fuck it, I can do this. I ran a 1/4 mile and walked home. I walked home and sat on my couch and cried. I said, man, I can't fucking do this shit. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And my mind just kept fucking with me. And kept fucking, you're not good enough, man. This isn't for you, man. These guys are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet Earth. You're not that.
How do you move forward?
What it was, and it's kind of funny, I was obsessed with Rocky. And I would fast forward with the little VHS tapes to round 14. Round 14 fucked me up like nobody's business.
Hard left and the right combination. What is keeping him up, Bill? I don't know.
When Apollo Creed beat the fucking shit out of Rocky, beat the shit out of him, he kept fighting. He was a dumb fighter, couldn't read, couldn't write. That was me. He was in that corner, everybody was saying, stay the fuck down.
Down, down, stay down. Apollo dancing around with his arms in the air.
And him getting up, Apollo Creed raised his arms up in the fucking air, turned around.
This gave me tremendous goosebumps. I have never watched Apollo, but just watching this mini review gives me tremendous goosebumps. It is a direct comparison to real life events. Most of the times when you get started on something which people believe to be unachievable, they will tell you all the negative things that you do not want to hear. You will not be able to do this. I mean, look at your family. No one was ever able to achieve this. People don't usually get out from where you're from to go and become what you plan or you intend on becoming. It is tremendously hard. You should probably just quit right now. But the joy comes when you prove everybody wrong and you see that they jaw drops and everyone now wants to suddenly become your friend, forgetting that they were one of the obstacles that impeded you from getting there. But regardless, you went through it and you still managed to achieve that which you set out to achieve. And another point that I want to hammer in is that, judging from David Goggins, of course, he needed a starting point. So he set an objective. Even though you do not achieve that objective that you set out, it is highly important because it gets you to start. Once you set the first step, you come face to face with all the demons, with all the voices in your head. And it's highly essential to start so that you can become accustomed to those voices and realize that they do not have much power over you. They can talk, it can become extremely loud, but you are the one that holds the remote to turn down that volume and continue to push forward.
I thought he won the fight. He turns around and sees this guy getting up, and it was the face of Apollo Creed that changed my life. The face of Apollo Creed. It was like, just by that motherfucker getting up, not winning, just by him getting the fuck up, Rocky had taken his soul. Had literally taken his soul. His head goes down, he looks at him like, what the fuck are you? I wanted to be that. I wanted to be the guy that people looked at. I don't care if you liked me or didn't like, I don't care. But said, this motherfucker is gonna keep coming after whatever the fuck is in front of him. I wanted that. I wanted that. I wanted that worse than anything in the world. I kept picturing me falling down and getting up. I wanted to feel something besides defeat. I wanted to just go the distance. I say what if a lot. It sounds corny and it sounds weak, but it's true. What story would it be if my fucking fat, dumb, insecure ass can overcome this shit? What if I can be a SEAL, man? How would that feel? To go from this fat, insecure motherfucker to one of the best guys on the planet Earth. This journey is gonna take something that is gonna be incomprehensible to most people. So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't fucking swim that great, who's scared of the fucking water, would have the fucking balls? Who had the balls to fucking man up, quit a job, and to put everything on himself? So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day, and I just kept using that as fuel and fuel. No one would do this shit. No one would do this shit. You're the baddest motherfucker around. You're the baddest motherfucker ever lived.
I absolutely understand when he mentions that no one would be doing this, because as we go through life, we tend to accumulate certain habits and fall into routine, which allow us to become extremely comfortable. And it takes tremendous courage to step out of that comfort zone and go out and get it and become the best version of yourself. Not everybody wants to do that. Everyone wants to remain comfortable, even if that comfortability means that you're absolutely depressed, you're doing a job that you don't really want to do, and you are involved in activities that prove to be meaningless and do not contribute towards you becoming the best version of yourself at all. It takes tremendous courage. Not everyone can do that, but I assure you there is tremendous joy to being found when you listen to that voice that always asks you, what if you decided to become Superman right now? What if you decided to take on the world right now? What if you decided to dismantle all your core belief systems and do your own research so you can build a foundation of your own core beliefs? What if, when you decide to take on that voice, that's when life becomes adventurous? And I believe that we all have a sense of adventure deep within us, but we fear on going on that adventure. But once again, I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to keep on hammering this point. It is highly essential and it is tremendously adventurous embarking on that journey of proving yourself right and everyone else wrong.
I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself. So it became from being defeated to like, man, all right, motherfucker, maybe tomorrow we can go 0.75. But I started realizing I can't run that far. So what I did was I became damn near a professional cyclist with the miles I put on the bike. I rode a bike a lot to lose the first initial kind of weight because my bones were just hurting so bad. My body was just broken. And then the bike got easier. I was able to run more. I went from like 1 mile. 1 mile was a great accomplishment. 2 miles, and then from 2 to 3 was a big one. Then I went from 3 to 6. They have a warning order that they give people to get ready for buds. And the whole thing was running 6 miles 5 days a week. And that was my goal. I failed, I go back to scratch. I use some positive motivation. I have like one day where I'm like fucking defeated. But I started realizing this is part of the process. This is part of the journey versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough. We always say that shit. I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna fucking make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, if it was snowing, my instinct was, we gotta fucking go out there. Anything that was fucking horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people, I had to go do it. And I lost the weight. I went back to recruiter, I got into that class, and I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. Only guy to ever be in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, to my knowledge. The first one I didn't make it through, the next 2 I did. I didn't stop anymore from there.
Now imagine how much joy and imagine how much self-respect you develop by accomplishing that which you originally believed to not be true, and that which everyone also believed would never be true, that you would never amount to anything, that you could never accomplish what you set out to accomplish because it was just impossible. Imagine the self-respect gained from that, and respect from those who were contrary to your belief, were unsupportive. They did not want you to succeed. Imagine the look on their faces. That is extremely joyful. As he mentioned, you take their soul. You've been knocked down, but you get back up and you continue. There's a perfect example is when you go to the gym. You work out, first day, feel tremendously tired. Next day, still the same. But eventually your body becomes accustomed to the environment, and that your warm-up, or not even your warm-up, your sets become your warm-up, and you can go even longer. You become stronger, and that is life in general. Everyone starts from zero, from scratch. Nobody is born with the ability, or nobody's born Superman, superhuman, for that matter. But you develop to become that best version of yourself. So, of course, people that do not decide to embark on that journey will always have the stance that you cannot achieve such and such because they have not tried it. And obviously, that being the majority, you need to think to yourself that you're constantly going to be surrounded by those people. And to find the absolute opposite of those people, you have to place yourself in those circumstances that are extremely hard, that prove to be tremendously painful in order for you to get out. And that's where you meet the individuals that also went through it and completely acknowledge your success and knew that one day you're going to be great, the same way you knew that one day you're going to be great. That's how you find those people, by going through those hardships. Because if you don't, and if you stay comfortable and build bad habits, that's the exact people you're going to attract to. And imagine how much weight you'll be carrying based on those people, based on your life situation in general. It is not good. You're just going to sink.
And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. If anybody knows my life story, and I'll try to give you just a snippet of it, to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. Because I have this face that they see, like, are you happy? What's wrong with you? You're missing the story, man. Am I happy? What the fuck did you think? Don't misunderstand the passion in which I speak for not being intensely happy. But I'm not done. No, I have a lot more shit to do. A lot more shit to do.
Extremely powerful. Think about it. When we go to the movies and watch our favorite superhero movie, we are met with extreme joy at the end when our superhero defeats the enemy. Now, bring that to real life. We all have an enemy, and that enemy lies within ourselves. And beating him, looking at him in the face and telling him, I told you so. I told you so. Empowers you to levels that you cannot imagine. So, from this, I'm really sure a lot of you will be extremely motivated. David Goggins, once again, take my hats off to him. True embodiment of what a human being is completely capable of. And we're out. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Do not forget, my skin looks this good because I stay drinking water. Fresh. We out.
Yeah, hey, Tony Franco, it's a wave.